Hello and welcome back to another episode of Live Drawing with Octopolis. My name is Brian Miller. Today we're going to have a ton of fun painting a sketch of Captain Marvel. So this one is a sketch commission. And, got my cat here. Say hi to everybody, Indio. Say hi, look at the camera. Here you go. This one is a sketch commission. We're going to do things a little bit different today. I think we're going to go straight to paint over the blue line, so there won't be any inks on this one. Should be a good time. Something unique and different, so hopefully you guys enjoy watching the process. I've started to mix up the first shade of blue here just to see how it's going to look. Just trying to... This will be like my lightest shade of blue for her outfit. And it might be a little tiny bit lighter than maybe I want it, but these gouache paints, they do tend to dry slightly darker than they look. So you can see it's the Winsor Newton gouache, and I'm just using red, yellow, and blue plus black and white. So mix all my colors from those. So it should be some fun. And thanks to everybody who's watching today. And I know some of you will join the chat. Some of you are maybe listening in your car, watching from work, and you can't join in the chat. That's okay. We appreciate you being here. We're happy to have you here. And thanks for joining us today. So, like I said, this one will be a little different in that we're not going to have any inks. So I'll probably do a little bit of guesswork here on how we're going to make it all work, but it'll be a fun process from start to finish regardless. I think what I'll do is I will just use my paint almost as if it was my inks, and I'll go ahead and just outline some areas and then fill them in. And I think that'll work pretty well, I hope. We'll see how it goes. But good to see you guys. I hope everybody's having a great week. It's been a pretty good week here. Kind of steady, but I think the big excitement this week was that Christy and we were able to get our first doses of the vaccine, so that was very exciting, and make our appointments for the second doses. So hopefully wherever you are, they're starting to roll that out as well. But I know there's still a long road to go to get everyone vaccinated, but at least things are moving. Well, at least they're moving here in Arizona. Hopefully they're moving where you are also. But so far, so good. Let me know how things are going where you are. Let me know how your week is going. Any kind of excitement that you've had. Is there a special Netflix show or movie or something that you're watching that really made your week? I know in this time of quarantine, those are sometimes the things that we can kind of define our time by, right? You know, some new thing comes out. But my new thing this week is this Smithsonian project that I'm working on. So we're still in the early phases. It's a long art project. It'll go on from now until July. And then the exhibit that it'll be part of will open in November. So just really getting started on that. And I guess once Smithsonian starts to talk about it officially, I'll share that news with you guys too. But it's been really interesting. It's fun to work with some of the different museums there and the curators and the scientists, and just kind of get inside of their heads and what's important to them, so that when it's time for me to do my sketches and then eventually the final illustrations, I can have some insight into the different aspects of Smithsonian that they want to be sure are communicated to the public. And that's kind of what it's all about when you're doing artwork like that, is sharing that story visually. That's kind of how I think about myself, as like a visual storyteller. Now this version of Captain Marvel, luckily the person with the commission, they kind of left it up to me. They just told me what they really wanted, and So I've kind of combined elements from the movie version and some of the like animated and comic book version. So a little bit of a hybrid, just kind of took the pieces that I like and just trying to translate them into my kind of the way I like to work a little bit. So hopefully it'll all turn out good. And really just going for, you know, similar to my poster artwork, like some flattish colors, two-tone. We'll do a light and a dark blue and then a light and a dark red and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully it'll end up turning out very nice. One of the trick with these gouache paints is they're really opaque unless you thin them down with water, and I don't really want to do that today. So some of my blue line will be a little challenging to see through the paint when I'm done. So I may end up, some of those lines may not be exactly where I have them in the sketch, but I think that'll be okay. And, you know, the face will probably be a little bit of a challenge, but the nice thing is we just, you know, roll with whatever happens, adapt on the fly. It's just the best way to handle those things. It usually all works out. But yeah, it's been a pretty solid week. Finishing up some comic book projects, today I got some new top secret Han Solo art ready for Patreon members. So on February 1st, if you're a member of our Patreon, you will get access to that. It's I can talk a little bit about it. It's some art I created back when the Solo movie was being made. And then of course that movie did not do very well in the box office, so all that artwork got shelved. So I've been releasing one every 2 or 3 months for Patreon members. So if you are a member of our Patreon, it's like Patreon Hi-Fi Color, you'll get that on February 1st, and I'm pretty proud of it. I think you guys will like it. It's been, you know, no one has seen it outside of like a couple of the galleries in like Lucasfilm, so you'll be the first people to really see it. But it's nice to finally be able to share it with someone. And I'd rather give it away to everybody on my Patreon than have it, you know, no one ever see it forever, which is the case with a lot of these projects, you know. I really have been looking forward to this sketch, and then I think the next one after this is Cobra Kai, and then after that I've got a really fun one coming up. I can tell you it will be truly outrageous. And if this goes well today, I might do that one in the same style. We'll have to see. But I've been wanting to try something without ink lines for a while. As far as, you know, I mean, I do it on my illustrations all the time, but something that I can do on Twitch. So today will be like the test for that, I guess, you know. Well, I say there will be no ink, but I guess like here for like her eyelashes and eyebrows and stuff, I'll probably just use ink versus black paint. Probably make more sense to do it that way. All right, it's not looking too bad. So I think we'll take that same blue and we'll just add a little bit of black to that. And on these gouache paints, this black pigment, this stuff is really, really strong. Like just a tiny little bit of black will really go a long way. So you have to be really careful with that, because it can tone it like way faster than we want it to, right? So have to get in there and just put a little bit of black in at a time, and try not to overdo it. And I might just add a little bit more blue to that as well. And between the black and the blue, we should really be able to darken that up considerably. Because what I want is I want some really nice contrast between the light blue and the dark blue, you know. So let's just get a little more blue, a lot more blue, and a little bit of black. Like I said, I have to be careful with this black because it can really overpower the other pigments if we're not careful. So I think that's looking like a pretty good mix right there. And hopefully will give us some nice contrast against our lighter blue. Yeah, I think that's going to work. Try to keep a little bit of the palette on the screen so you guys can see when I mix the colors, but if you're not seeing enough, just let me know and I can move things around here a little bit. Okay, so now let's try our dark blue. Let's see how that looks. So I got new glasses. My old glasses broke. And the vision on these seem to be pretty good. But still, whenever I paint on cam, it's a little bit of a challenge because I'm nearsighted and I can get a lot of weird glares and reflections. I probably need to get like a 45-degree angle when I'm painting, just so that I don't get those weird reflections and stuff. You know, you get used to doing everything just for yourself and your clients, and you think about how it works on video, and it's always a little bit different. One of the things I want to be careful of is to not choke up on the brush too much. You know, you can have a tendency to want to hold the brush like a pencil, and that usually doesn't work very well. You can get a lot of like shaky lines and everything, so it's best to just hold the brush from farther back and get a little bit more control that way. But we'll lay out all this sort of base color here and then go back and add details and stuff to that. But overall, I don't want to get too crazy with details. I want this to be like very flat and postery and graphic. You know, it should definitely look more graphical than like photoreal or anything like that. Definitely not going for that. But you can kind of see the contrast between the light and the dark blue, and really that's the most important thing here, is to get that contrast. That's what's going to give it that nice graphic look. And as the colors dry, we'll be able to see if there's any areas that need touch-ups or not. And the nice thing about the gouache paint is that you can paint into it and reactivate it. So if we need to do some blending or just paint overs, it'll be really no problem, which is nice. And one thing about these paints, unlike acrylic, these will sit here and just get a little thicker and drier on the palette as I'm painting. So you do have to work with a little bit of purpose. You can't sit on it too long because it will just dry up completely on the palette. I mean, you can add water to it and reactivate it, but then that can change your opacity if you're not careful. So you just have to kind of work with purpose and just make an effort to move through everything. Now, if you're working at more of a watercolor style, then it's not as important. You can just keep it wet, and it will behave. It'll behave a lot like watercolor. It's more opaque, but if you wet it, it'll act quite a bit like watercolor. There we go. So you can kind of start to see it's like almost like not really like an animated cell shaded style, but it's similar to that, just a light and a dark value. But unlike animation, no black outline or anything like that. But what we can do is we can take like a fine line brush and just start to add some little details here. Let's get one that's just got a little bit of a tip on it. That should do it. And then we should be able to just load that up and just bring our details in as we want. Yeah, there we go. Maybe a couple little folds in the clothing, just here and there. Yeah. Yeah, that's looking pretty nice. I think that's going to do what we want it to do. And now it's just the time we can really make sure all of our lines are clean. Doing little touch-ups we might see before we move on to like our reds and our yellows. But yeah, overall, I think that's going to work pretty well. Nice. Okay. So next, I think we'll move on to our red values. The red paint's always a little bit more on the translucent side. And that means you can kind of see through. You can see through the pigment a little bit. So we'll want to get a good amount of pigment. Try to keep it looking nice. And that's a pretty cherry red, and I kind of want to put just a touch of yellow into it to give her more of like a warm red value. Something like that should work. And so we'll just do the same approach. We'll start with the lightest areas of red and then go back in and we'll add some shadows to that. And I could do it the opposite way too. I could do the dark reds first. It really doesn't matter on this type of style. So just kind of doing what feels easiest or whatever. But again, the nice thing is the red's a little more translucent, so we can see our pencil lines through there really easily. And that'll make it just a little bit easier when we go and add our shading and stuff. Let me know if you've got a favorite superhero character. You know, I do a lot of these commissions, black and white and color, and it's always interesting which characters speak to people, which characters represent people, you know. I think the person that wanted this commission, they feel a very strong connection to this character. This character is almost like, you know, maybe help get them through some rough patches in their life and stuff, you know. So the power of comics, not to be underestimated, right? Which is kind of cool, right? We've all got those things in our life that help us cope with the bad times and make us feel the best in the good times. Now, because you can reactivate these paints, I do have to be really careful where the two colors meet, because the blue isn't completely dry, and even if it was, it can reactivate. So that is one area of gouache where you have to be really careful. It's just simply because it can reactivate on you. And sometimes you want it to, you know, sometimes you want to do blending and mix colors, and man, it's so nice when you get that. But if you don't want to, you do have to be careful. That's one of the reasons on a lot of my sketches that have black lines, I'll do the black in ink and then paint, you know, over or through that, because the ink won't blend in with the paint, which is really handy. Just trying to get my kind of my smooth outlines going here. There we go. Sometimes if I get really quiet, it's because I'm concentrating. You know, if I'm just doing like a grayscale sketch, I'm pretty good at talking through it, but sometimes on the painting, I gotta focus up a little bit, you know. But that's all right. Like I said, just blocking everything in really to start with. You know, it's so easy to get caught up on little details, and it's a good way to not finish your art, you know, if you can just get everything kind of roughed in, then that makes it easier to go back and start to finish things. And I just kind of like to work one color at a time if I can. Works for me, at least. Yeah, this one's pretty fun. What do you guys think? Do you like Brie Larson as Captain Marvel? She seems to be sort of divisive. Seems some people really like her as the character and others not as much. I'm not sure what it is about her that seems to divide people so much. It does seem to be the case. Here in Arizona, I don't know, it's February, or it's almost February. So I know for a lot of people that means snow and bad weather. Here in Arizona, our January and February is generally really nice, but we've been having crazy weather here, including some hail and some snow and storms, and it's been very strange. Very bizarre. Let me know what it's doing where you are. Is it crazy where you are? Now she'll have some red in her lips, but I think I'll probably do her skin tone first before I do her lips, because I wouldn't want that red to start to blend in with her skin and smear around and all that. So just trying to think ahead a little bit about what might work best. Sometimes easier said than done, though. There we go. So we're off to a decent start here, I think. We will see how it continues. A little quiet in the chat today. I'm surprised by that, but I know, Thursday is my normal streaming day, but my schedule's been so crazy the last couple of weeks with deadlines and stuff that Friday afternoon's really been the only time I could, other than our Tiki Tuesday nights, but for the sketches and paintings and stuff. So I'm trying to get back to Thursdays. I know everybody likes the Thursday streams, but it's been almost impossible. All right, so there's our base red. So just like before, I'm going to take a little bit of black and mix in there. And because it's red, I could take a little bit of our blue from before. Don't want it to turn purple, but I can darken that black a little bit with that, or darken that blue a little bit. And then just a little bit of black. Not too much. I don't think it's going to take much. I think we're going to be surprised by how little it really takes. Just a little bit more pure red. I think that'll probably be plenty dark. Let's do a test here. All right, it could be a little darker. I think that's probably about right. Okay. So just load up our brush real good. Yeah, I think once that dries, we'll think it's plenty dark. I think I'd almost call this color like cherry cola or something. It's got a real nice mix of red with just a hint of like black cherry and raspberry. Yeah, that's going to be just about perfect. That's what I was saying earlier, like these, unlike some kind of paints, these gouache paints, they can dry a little darker than they look when they're wet. So I always try to err on the side of being a shade too light than a shade too dark. There we go. Starting to look all right. Just do a few little details for the fingers, but nothing too crazy. Trying to keep it pretty clean. Sounds like it might rain again here. We're used to getting so little rain in this state that I think we're getting more rain in the last few weeks than we've had all of 2020. I know, exciting weather talk. But when you live in a place that doesn't have weather, it's shocking when it happens. You're just like, what? What is going on? I can't believe it. Yeah, there we go. All right. Got our details going now. Hey, we got ourselves a Captain Marvel. I know you guys hate it when I spin the paper, but sometimes I have to, just to lay down the right line, you know, just to get it to lay down right. I'm always impressed by like people who are sign painters and pinstripers and stuff, laying down like these just beautiful lines, and they have to work at all these different crazy angles to do it. I mean, honestly, I don't hardly know how they do it sometimes. They're so good. I should probably just tape the artwork down and just like force myself to paint how it lies, you know. It'd probably be a good self-imposed lesson or something to learn. Sometimes those kind of little things can be entertaining to do for yourself, you know. Just be like, okay, this time I'm going to paint this and only do, you know, only use a certain brush or only use certain strokes, or tape the art down to the desk and not move it or something like that. Can kind of force your brain to learn how to do something a different way. So it might be fun to try. We'll have to just see. All right. Definitely got to work with a purpose now. This dark red's already wanting to dry up a little bit. So just get some of these details laid in. And for those of you that are watching, you know, feel free to hop on the chat. Let me know what you think. I'm very curious to hear about the characters that mean something to you. So I'm just going to go down to a little bit smaller brush and just put in a few little details here and there. And this will just help keep everything sort of like natural looking. So we can, you know, see the division between her fingers and that sort of thing. It's kind of more about like implied detail than an actual detail, I guess. Yeah, it's looking all right. I think we're on the right path there. All right, so we're gonna move on to the yellow, but I'm going to clean out this water real quick. Okay. So let's move to our yellow. I think we'll just take some plain yellow and a little bit of white. So we can soften this white up a little bit. Just to kind of get that little creamy. Kind of want the base yellow to be really pale. Don't want it to be like pure yellow. Sometimes the pure yellow can look a little obnoxious on some of the stuff, or just oversaturated. So something like that should work. And then for our shadows, we'll probably go with like a golden yellow. I won't mix black into the yellow for shadows because it makes like a green. It's no good. You know, yellow and black equals like olive drab color. And nobody wants that. Load this up. And this dark red was the last area I painted, so I gotta be really careful. Keep from mixing those colors too much. There we go. I'll come in later and clean up some of these lines where the yellow meets the red and stuff. But for now, I just want to lay in just the base color. Just get it dropped in there. While we're using this kind of like wider brush, and then with the fine line, we'll be able to go in and do all kind of like edge work and stuff we need to do. Now, if this was acrylics, you know, there's trade-offs to using different kinds of paints. If this was acrylics, you know, once the red or the blue was dry, you could be a little more free with the yellow because it wouldn't blend. Whereas with the gouache, if I'm not careful, then, you know, the blue or the red will start to blend with the yellow. So there's definitely pros and cons to different types of media. That's why you'll even see, you know, some like acrylic gouache mixes and stuff like that just for that reason. So as long as we've got this yellow out, I think I will just add the tiniest touch of red to it, and we'll use that warmer value as like the base of her hair. So just slightly more saturated, slightly warmer, not too much. Just be really subtle. So it'll be like a shade between the yellow of her body and the darker yellow. Hey, Monique. Very good to see you. Thanks for joining us today. Happy Friday, Monique. Thanks for hopping on the chat. Been a little quiet this afternoon, but that's okay. I'm just kind of like zenning out and working on this Captain Marvel painting. And unlike all of the ones I've done here before, this one's not going to have any black line, but I will use a fine line brush and some darker colors to add some detail and outlines and stuff, but no ink lines other than probably around her eyes. So a little bit different. Should be really fun. It's been really fun so far, actually. Just kind of chilling out. Getting a lot done this Friday too. It's surprising. Like, Fridays aren't always my most productive day, but this week I'm just like moving right through the projects today. So after this painting, I've got a couple of comic book covers that I have to color. Unfortunately, I can't stream those because the publishers don't want anybody to see it yet, but I will record those and they'll be available to our Patreon members at some point in time. Monique says, I have no sound on my phone for some reason. Just on my way home from Columbus and want to pop in so you know I'm still alive and kicking. Well, I'll type it in then. I'll look like a penguin. If you can't hear me, hopefully you can see the chat. It's strange that you can't hear me, though. My audio feedback says it's recording, and I can see the levels of my voice as I speak, so that is strange. But you never know with these things, right? Whether it's Twitch or something else. There's always something crazy going on. Thanks, Monique. You too. Have a great day, Monique. So we'll get all these kind of light yellows laid down, and then we'll go back and do some of the darker yellow shadows. And then I'll be ready to do her face. And there'll be some details, not too much, but that'll definitely, take a little bit of concentration to get right. Especially if those of you that are like digital artists, you know that you get so used to being able to zoom in and do everything digitally that when you go back to traditional media, it can be a little bit of an eye-opener when you're like, oh yeah, right, I have to do that at real size. I know some of my friends that do sketch cards, I used to do sketch cards, but I stopped it. They'll have big magnifiers now so they can get in and do their detail work. So things are always changing. So I think before we make a darker version of this value, I want to just get some white paint and just a little bit of this color. And just make like a highlight value here. Just a little bit more white in that. We'll see how that dries. Okay, so let's go back to our yellow. And we're just going to start off with some yellow. A lot of yellow. And a tiny bit of red. And we're just going to do like a warmer, like a gold or golden brown. We'll see how it turns out. It's not too bad. I kind of like that. I was thinking about putting a little bit of blue in there for darkness, but I don't think it's going to need it. I think we're going to be okay. Yeah, I think we'll be okay there. So I just have to remember to use my fat brush here for the shading and then get the fine line brush out for the details. Make sure this brush isn't too wet. Yeah, that's about the right value we want. Should work out just fine. Get some nice. Hey, Evan, good to see you. Thanks for joining us, Evan. Appreciate it. Nice to see some familiar faces in here today. I knew it'd be a little quiet after I didn't stream yesterday. But just like last week, it's just been... I'm happy to have the work, but it's definitely been some rushes and emergencies and whatnot. Hope you're doing well. To let me know what you're up to, Evan. Oh, thank you, Evan. Thank you, Evan. Yes, Christy's she's at a tennis tournament this weekend. So yeah, she's playing in 2 different levels, so she'll be playing a ton of tennis next 3 days. And I'm just painting and coloring my heart out. Thanks for the resubscription, Evan. I don't think there's a hat at 8 months, but I think at 9 months, I think 9 and 12 maybe, you get a new hat. If my stream goes dark, it's because of the crazy weather we're having here. But all kinds of weird weather this week. It's been pretty nutty. How about you, Evan? Are you working on a client project or a personal project or homework, or what do you got going on today? Once this commission's done, then I've got like 2 more covers to color today. I guess you knew that because I think you flatted at least one of them. Oh, coloring the Ahsoka piece. Nice, nice. I look forward to seeing that next week. I hope you feel the value of that. I've definitely noticing your growth and all the steps forward that you've been making. I thought it was really fun when we were all posting some of our older work with some of our newer work and seeing, what a difference even like a decade makes or 5 years or something, So, and Popeye art. Oh, cool. That sounds very cool. I'm a Popeye fan. It's not Popeye related, but I saw the trailer for the new Snoopy show or Charlie Brown show or whatever that is going to be on Apple TV Plus, and I thought that the trailer looked really, really good. Yeah, I've got this Captain Marvel and then that Usagi cover and Stargirl cover. I could probably bang out the Usagi cover pretty fast, which is probably what I should do, but I will probably do the Stargirl cover first. I think I'll probably record that one, so it'll be available on Patreon at some point. It's been nice, though, to get feedback from you and some of the others that those more like long-form videos that I've been doing have been helpful. I was thinking the Stargirl one, I might record the whole thing, but maybe release it in like 2 or 3 parts, though. Because it'll probably be pretty long, and I think it would be boring for most people to try to watch it from start to finish. There we go. Starting to make some progress here. Slowly but surely. Definitely some, it's not about slow, it's just some things you don't want to rush. That's how I feel about it. I definitely don't want to rush this. Trying to build up this highlight a little bit on the hair. I probably should have just left it paper and then painted a lighter yellow over it, but that's all right. Live and learn. Just keep building it up till it looks good. All right, let's think about her skin color now. I think we can just start with this gold that we already made. Some of this white. Move that over so you guys can see it. Just a touch of red. A little too pink, but we'll get it. Oh, that's getting pretty close. Evan said, my recording of class worked, but I got no audio. Huh, that's weird. That's really strange. I mean, if you hear the audio, you should be able to record it. That's happened to me on my end before. I used the wrong recording software, and it's just because I had it set wrong. It only recorded video. That was frustrating. It was trying to record the audio off of like a microphone that wasn't even plugged in instead of the mic I was using. I was like, darn it. That was that one I had to go back and like dub over, which was a shame because I thought it was a really good initial recording. But it happens. Okay. Yeah, I think this skin tone's going to work out okay. You know, whenever you've got a skin tone on somebody with blonde hair, you have to be really purposefully like put a little extra pink or magenta in it or whatever just to... It can be so easy to have the skin tone and the hair color be like too similar, you know. Oh, thanks for the cheer, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Evan. Thanks for cheering. 5 bits. That's awesome. Thank you. Trying to decide on her hair and her eyes here. I mean her eyebrows and stuff. I'll probably still do her lips with the thin line brush, but I'll probably go with like a pen to do like the eyebrows and the eyelashes and stuff. All right, so let's just add a tiny bit more magenta or red. Sorry, I keep saying magenta. I'm still in like digital mode over here. Let's see how that looks. Not bad, a little pink, but not bad. Let's go just a little darker than that. I think this one's gonna be a little tricky to get the darker value of her skin just how I want it, but it'll be worth the experimentation, I think. I mean, who am I kidding? That's my favorite part, right? It's just the experimentation with the different shades and colors and stuff. I think what we'll have to do is get this like really dark and then add a little white to it, and that'll probably get us where we want to be. I think we're gonna be close. Let's see how this looks. Yeah, there you go. That's probably gonna work just fine. Yeah, when that dries, that should be, I mean, even wet, you can see it's plenty dark enough compared to her other skin value there. Yeah, that should give us a nice, really bold graphic look. It may even be slightly darker than I really intended, but I think we'll be okay. If not, we just paint right over it. It'll be fine. Let's get our fine line brush. There we go. Starting to get there. I think this is one that, once some of these areas have dried completely, I'll probably have to go back and do some little touch-ups with the small brush, but we'll get the big bold strokes in for sure. See if we can get this dark red going again. Damn it. I'll definitely be doing some cleanup there where the brush flicked. That's unfortunate. But not the end of the world. Just means some touch-ups. As an artist, you always get disappointed in yourself when something like that happens, but it does happen from time to time. Nothing we can do about it, but just let it dry and paint over that little mistake. What am I going to do next here? Just get a little bit more white. I think this white dries out faster than any of the other colors. Maybe kind of a little bit tricky to work with. It's maybe even one where you would want to do like a acrylic white for just like pure highlights and stuff. I'm not sure. Evan says, I'm really learning a lot from you guys. I also started experimenting with the more painterly style. Oh, cool, man. That's really cool. Are you using like a soft feathered lasso or just straight up brush? Just watch out for making things too airbrushy. I don't know that you are. You're probably not. Just the way an editor told it to me one time was that nobody wants to see comic art that looks like it could be spray painted on the side of a van, you know, that kind of thing, like a van mural. And I was like, oh, okay, that's good. That's good thing to know. But yeah, otherwise, I think it's fun to do some of those like really painterly brush, you know, especially when you get some like go-to brushes. Oh, some custom brushes. There you go. Exactly. That's what you want, man. You want to have some like go-to brush choices that you know are going to rock just for you. Let's let that dry for a second. I'll grab a pen to do her eyes. Vince's got a new one-handed keyboard setup to speed up flattening and coloring. Oh, cool, man. Did you are you using a regular keyboard? You just like change the hotkeys and stuff, or are you using like one of those custom like gaming half keyboard things? I think she's starting to look like Helen Mirren. A young Helen Mirren, mind you, but Helen Mirren. Oh, you got a gaming keyboard. Cool. That's awesome, dude. And thanks for the hydrate. Thank you. I think I'm about due for another here. Half keyboard, yeah. Cool. Very cool. That's I think that's smart. Especially too, like, you can use your iPad on your Mac as like a almost like a Wacom tablet. You can just connect it, and it has some of the hotkeys built into the iPad screen. I think that's a little funky, but I think like a half keyboard would be like a really nice way to utilize that as well. All right, I want to do like a darker golden value and do some details on her hair and stuff. So let's take this gold, get some yellow. A little bit red. Gotta be careful with the red. This is a really strong red. It just like, it likes to overpower everything. All right. And then just the teeniest, tiniest, a little bit of blue-green in there to darken that a little bit. There we go. Now we should be able to use our fine line brush and work some of that in. This would be a good place probably to use like a colored pencil or something too to like true it up a little bit. Yeah, that should work pretty nicely. As long as it's not too thin. Don't want it to be too thin. There we go. Much better contrast there. The previous value is just a little too light for my taste. Wasn't really framing her face in very well. But this color is looking much nicer, I think. Sometimes you just got to keep working at it though to get the contrast right. Because there's no undo, there's just redo. You just gotta keep working at it until you get happy with it. Oh, Evan bought the new Bounty Collected Star Wars artwork that just came out. Thanks for picking that up, Evan. You got the variant. That's cool, man. I'm actually surprised that variant hasn't sold out already. I mean, they don't tell me numbers, but I know that it's doing really good for them. But it's definitely been very popular. Did you I don't remember what you said, Evan. Did you order the Legend of Lando art when it came out or not? I just wasn't sure if they'd shipped that yet or not. I will say, I know some people are, wanting things to ship more quickly, but I think on some of this stuff, it's better that some of these companies have waited a little while. Because I really feel like the post office is just now getting caught up from Christmas. I had a package that took 49 days. I had to replace the artwork for him long before that. But the second one I sent out arrived to him in like 5 days. And the first one took 45 days. So they were definitely really, really totally behind at the holidays. As much as I hate UPS, I was sending some of the really big packages UPS just to make sure they would get there. Stuff I had to ship out in January. So just going back over and trying to clean up a few lines here and there, touch up a few details, start to dial this one in a little bit. Yeah, thanks for picking up that Empire art. I had so much fun with that, and just glad to see it finally come out. And actually glad to see people react to it really well, because unfortunately the Legend of Lando art did not get as good a response, I think, as I'd hoped for. A little disappointing. I mean, part of it was when it was released. I know that, but you still can't help but be disappointed. Well, this has been kind of fun today. Totally different doing this without any black line. Definitely more challenging, but still a fun exercise to say the least. Oh, thanks for the following, Panda of Love. Appreciate that. Thank you so much. Have to let me know if you're a fan of Captain Marvel or what characters you like. But yeah, thank you so much for the follow. Thanks for joining us today. I always have fun doing the superhero sketches and paintings, and this one's a little unique, so that's been fun. Oh, thank you, Panda of Love. Appreciate it. Chat's been a little slow today, so glad to see another person here. I was gonna say, it's like everybody took Friday off. That's what it feels like, at least. We got it coming along. Yeah, this is what do you guys think about Brie Larson? Do you like her in the role of Captain Marvel or not? I know she seems to be kind of divisive. Some people like her and some people don't. Oh, Evan says that he likes her. Okay. Good to know. You like her just as Captain Marvel, or do you like her like in other films and stuff she's been in? I don't really know too much about her. I thought she was fine as Captain Marvel, but I get the sense that the other cast members and stuff don't like her based on interviews and things, and so it makes you wonder, like, what is it about her personality that's off-putting or whatever. Dr. Christy Miller will be back Sunday night. Until then, it's all work and no play for me. All coloring and painting. Oh, Evan says he likes her as Captain Marvel, yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I mean, I'm sure I've seen her in other things, but I don't think I follow her or really think about her in any way. I don't really think I know anything about her. Alright, just a few little bits to clean up here, I think. But this one's getting pretty close. I'm sure when all the paint dries, I'll go back and find things I want to tweak, but for now, at least, we're getting pretty close. She's still running things on her trip. Yes, Evan. Christy is a multitasker. When we travel the world, she runs things. When she's playing tennis, she runs things. When she's teaching school, she still runs things. She can do like 20 things at once. That's part of what makes Christy Christy. And she wouldn't have it any other way, let me tell you. Evan says, after the Ahsoka art, what's the next direction? Well, I was going to talk to you about that, Evan. I was going to ask if you wanted to choose your next project. I was actually going to suggest maybe that you choose at least 2 different pieces of artwork and give Christy and I a chance to have some input before starting. But I think that the Ahsoka project overall has went really well. I mean, I hope you're happy with it. But I think that when it comes to coloring, we're only as good as the art we color, and I'd like to see you maybe pick a sequential page, something that obviously something you want to do, but also let's make sure it's like some really good art without any like obvious, not flaws. That's harsh. Without any obvious like speed bumps or traps or anything in it, so we can give you like the best possible. Now, the opposite of that, well, not opposite, different from that, was if you wanted to start messing around with styles and stuff, we can. I'd rather see you keep improving some fundamentals, though, before we go off on some tangents. I think it's really easy to get distracted by some of those things, and those distractions can be fun, and they can also be beneficial. So, I mean, ultimately it's up to you what you want to do, but I'd really like to have you do at least one really good sequential page as like the next thing. I think this is just about there. See a few more lines I want to clean up, but overall, this is just about where we want it. You were thinking of sequential page too. Yeah, I think that's probably best. I think what I would say is just pick 2 or 3 that we can look at and talk about, and then from those, if I like the art on one of those, then we'll say, yeah, go for it. And I think you're doing good with the Ahsoka piece, but I think the artwork itself, posed a few challenges that it'd be nice to see you just be able to work on some art that gives you the best chance to put your best foot forward. All right. I'm sure there's going to be a few things here I want to tweak. Oh, you have a question which you'll PM me. Okay, that's fine. I'm sure there's going to be 1 or 2 more things here I want to tweak, but I think we're definitely at a point where I need to step away and let the paint dry. And then I can come back and look at it with clean eyes, fresh eyes, whatever you want to call it. Oh yeah, that helps. It's funny, just the tiniest little tweaks can make such a big difference sometimes. All right, well, I think that's our stopping point for today. So thank you guys for watching. Let's take 30 seconds and run the credits. Thank you, Evan. Thank you, Panda of Love. Appreciate you guys. I know it was a little different stream than normal, but I appreciate you guys hanging out.